Let's take a look at Friday, the second 12-game day in the NBA season. Some may say it's too many, and you know that some is me. But we're going to talk about it, look at all of the things that are important to you. Michael Bolton, what's important to you?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm still on the injury report with injury management, despite not playing a game at all this season. Definitely not injured, though. I am not injured. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your first bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. Earlier today, Waiver Wire Show covered about 40 names of guys to add and drop, what people were doing, how dumb or correct they were, or how dumb or correct I am. It's all covered. Go check it out. We're looking at Friday now, 12 games on. Not really a streaming day. I will still give a streaming target for each team, as well as streams of the day, but not the full lists, because I don't think it's necessary on a 12-game day. But we'll talk about approaching the upcoming schedule and the things that we're watching for, the key points for each team across this second big day in the NBA. Let's get in. Let's take a look at what we're actually looking for here. But importantly, what are the three big stories, I guess, to take away in what I like to call the pulse. The three key storylines for Friday that we need to pay attention to. I think when we are looking at that, the three early focus ideas is we're talking about the coaching in Portland. Chauncey Billups is gone temporarily. He's on leave, administrative leave. He's also arrested. He might be in jail. I've got no idea what's going to happen with him. Tiago Splitter is taking over. So what does it do? Does it do anything? Does it change Young Hun Sen? Does it change Donovan Clingan? Does it change Jeremy Grant, Shaedon Sharpe? I don't know, but we want to see. The Clippers were a disaster in the last game. What do they do? Is there adjustments made? What happens with Bradley Beal? What do they do with the Derek Jones, John Collins situation? How does Ty Lue respond? And then the Nets. Now, most of us don't have many Nets players on our fantasy rosters, but still, there's an impact there. Are they going to run 13 deep every night? Are they going to get cooked by every team, every game? Meaning that players like Porter and Thomas are just never going to play enough? We need to get more data points on that. In terms of one of the big waiver wire stream guys, if you're looking at that, and even a little bit longer value, we are looking at Ryan Rollins, because Kevin Porter Jr. is out. Glenn Rivers said that it might be a bit of time, but we don't know. We can't trust Glenn on this sort of stuff. Obviously, it's Glenn Rivers. So we're looking at him, who's 13% rostered. Ryan Rollins, he's a steals guy. He's a low usage player. Karl-Anthony is another option there, but I do really like grabbing Ryan Rollins in spots where you can as a replacement for Kevin Porter Jr. Some quick injury hits that are important for us to pay attention to as we go through all this. What are the three major injury things that are important to pay attention to? Well, it is Karl-Anthony Towns and the Knicks. I sort of referenced it earlier on, but Mitchell Robinson's out again for injury management. He's definitely injured, right? Like, he's 100% injured. What are we doing? Don't hold on to Mitchell Robinson, by the way. But Towns is dealing with a grade 2 strain of his quad, which is, of course, a 4-week injury. He played through it opening night. He's questionable again. We need to watch this. The update on Yves Missi is going to be important because the Pelicans' center depth involves nobody. It could be Derek Queen. It could be Carlo Makovic. I bloody hope it's not Hunter Dickinson. And then, for LA, Austin Reaves tweaked his ankle late. And if he is out, well, it's Luka, and then I don't know. Will it be Jake LaRavia who steps up? Will it be Marcus Smart? Will we get more out of Gabe Vincent? Will Jared Vanderbilt decide to have higher than a 9% usage? I think LaRavia is the guy who can at least do something with the ball, but that's a key status that we do need to pay attention to. So we will, and that is what we will pay attention to. But let's get in to the 12 games and have a look at the things that we are watching for. Milwaukee and Toronto. Now, again, this is important. This game has been moved. It's still in Toronto, but it will start at 6:30 p.m. Eastern because of the World Series. The World Series games are in LA, I believe, for this game. Are they? No, they're not. They're in Toronto. My bad. But the game has been moved to enable Toronto people with nothing else going on in their city or their life to watch both things. So this is early. 6:30. Who's out? Kevin Porter is out. Yanni is listed as probable for the Bucks, while Jacoby Walter and Colin Murray-Boyles are both questionable for the Raptors. So pretty similar stuff. They were both out, those guys, for opening game. The big change there is Porter. What are we watching for? Well, Bobby Portis. If Bobby Portis is playing 17 minutes a night, you can't hold him. So let's see what happens. And then on the Toronto side, Emmanuel quickly was fine with his assists in game one, but always watching how the usage distributes between these players and just quickly find himself behind Barrett, Ingram, and Barnes. Where does it lie? In terms of streams, I already talked about it, but Ryan Rollins is going to be a steal for a lot of teams. And then in Toronto, there's not many great streamers, but maybe Jamal Shed if you're looking for steal options as well. Second game. We're getting in here and we're looking at the Atlanta Hawks and your Orlando Magic. The Hawks are going to want to bounce back after the first game. The Magic are 5-point favorites here. The only current injury for Orlando is Mo Wagner. We did get a late addition, or not late, an addition just after I started this, of Zachary Ricochet popping up with a questionable tag. Now, he did sprain his ankle at the end of game one. He returned, but he's questionable with the ankle sprain. Now, if he is out, then it'll be interesting to see what they do. I would think that you do look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who I've already listed as a stream option, but his value would have to improve in that situation. And then maybe you get a bit more Keaton Wallace, but a bit more Luke Kennard as well. I do want to watch Ricochet because he was bad. Most importantly, his minutes were low. And he didn't do anything apart from score, even though he scored well. But if he's a 24-minute player, that's not good enough for most of us, so we need to see how he gets utilised. For the Magic, this is the first for them on a back-to-back, and Suggs is playing. He'll play this one and sit on Saturday. So, how much does he play? Because he played 5 minutes in the first half of the first game, foul trouble, but then was really good in the second half on unsustainable shooting. Where does Suggsy fit? What is their playing time goal here for him? The stream guys, I'm going for Alexander Walker in Atlanta and Goga Badadze, the dart, for the Orlando Magic. The next one, we're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Brooklyn Nets. The Cavs are a massive 13.5-point favorite. Max Strus is out. I am checking if there are any updates here. Yeah, Darius Garland has been ruled out, so we got that information. DeAndre Hunter is officially questionable, while for the Nets, Haywood Highsmith, Danny Wolf, and Drake Powell, two of their first-round picks, both out, along with Highsmith. Jarrett Allen was terrible opening night. No good percentages, no usage, no blocks. I am out on Jarrett Allen. We are holding him, obviously, but I want to see what happens with Larry Nance, and I want to see if Allen just continues to look lost. For the Nets, Nick Claxton was also pretty bad in terms of playing time. He, and most of these other guys, we just need to see how they utilize him. In terms of streams, Lonzo Ball is a really strong assist stream for Cleveland. You can go to Jalen Tyson, especially if DeAndre Hunter is out also, and Sam Merrill. And then Day'Ron Sharpe, even in limited minutes, but with Danny Wolf out, it does help him. He's a solid enough stream for Brooklyn. The next one, we're going up to New York. We're staying in New York, actually. This one's in Manhattan. We're going to the Knicks. They're hosting the Celtics. I noticed that I forgot to change the spread number for this. It is Knicks by 6 is the current spread on this one. Luka Garza is out in the concussion protocol for the Celtics. Josh Hart, I'm just going to see if there's an update. Well, he's been upgraded to questionable. I thought he might be doubtful, but he is questionable. Mitchell Robinson is out. And then Karl-Anthony Towns is officially questionable. I don't know why he would play. I think he's probably on the doubtful side of questionable, but I don't know. But Hart and Towns might play. Robinson is out. For the Celtics, people were disappointed with Peyton Pritchard on opening night. You should not be. You should not be at all, but we want to watch it. Is he going to play 37 minutes again? What does his usage look like? And then for the Knicks, OG Anunoby was awesome. Is that the thing? Because at the end of last season, it was the thing. Will it change if Hart is available? Will it ramp up if Towns is out? We pay attention. Josh Minott did not do very much in game one. It was a weird one in game one. I still think there is value in him, in looking at him as a streamer. His ability to rack up defensive stats and score a little bit is important, but it's hardly one we get excited about. And then for the Knicks, I think with the potential of Towns or Hart or both being out, Juice McBride played 26 minutes in the opener, and if Towns is out, he's going to have to do more because Gershon Yabusele is not it. Ariel Huckporty might be somewhat interesting in this scenario, and he probably starts here, Huckporty, with Robinson out. But again, he wasn't particularly exciting in the first game, and we always have to be paying attention to that. We'll come back and look at more of these games. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, so expect more from your money. Get started today at robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that is robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is also brought to you by DoorDash and their new thing, the bag drop. The NBA season is here, and we've cracked on already, and DoorDash has got the perfect way to keep you in your bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, locking in on your fantasy team, checking out your favorite team's action every night, DoorDash makes it every game night even better with something they've now got called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. And you get automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. It's a player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff that you'd actually want. So next time someone scores 50, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April the 13th. Open to US residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We're here and we are talking about the games across the NBA and the things that we are watching for and the things that we are paying attention to streaming-wise across these 12 games on Friday. So let's talk about the next game here. This is the 5th game of the day? Yep. Spurs Pelicans. The Spurs are 4-point favorites in this game. De'Aaron Fox is out. Lindy Waters is out. Jeremy Sohan is out. Kelly Olynyk has been ruled out. DeJounte Murray is out for the Pelicans. Kevon Looney is out. And then we got the official status on Yves Missi being questionable and Carlo Makovic questionable. Now that's important because Looney's out. And if Missi's out, he sprained his ankle at the end of the game, well, Makovic could start. Or they could all be out and you see Derek Queen or even Hunter Dickinson. Or you see Zion start at center or Herb Jones, however you want to phrase it, and someone like Sadiq Bey or even Jeremiah Fears plays more. On the Spurs side of things, Luke Cornett had some foul trouble. I think we're going to see more of the double big stuff if he wasn't in foul trouble, so I do want to see how he gets utilized. And then for the Pelicans, they played Fears over Alvarado. Alvarado played 0 minutes. I did not think that would happen. Fears was great, but the shooting is completely fake. He won't shoot that well, so if he doesn't shoot at 70%, what does his playing time look like? In terms of streams, I'm going to go with Bubbles for San Antonio. Julian Champagny, Cornett could be an option too. And then in New Orleans, I do think that the depressed penis, Sadiq Bey, is back in our lives. He could be worth it because if they do go those small lineups, he played 30 minutes in the opener, he could play another 30, 31 and be useful enough in a situation where a lot of those big men are not available to play. The next one, we're going to Memphis. It's Miami. They're traveling to Memphis. The Grizzlies are 4-point favorites at home against Miami. Hero out. Of course, Terry Rozier is out. Kasparis Yakuchonis is questionable. Not sure that he'd really play anyway. Edey out. Brandon Clark out. Pippen out. Jerome out. And then Vince Williams is questionable. In Miami, it's pretty obvious what we want to watch, I think. Is Superman going to play more than the minutes behind Bam Adebayo? Khalil Ware played 14. Bam played 34. If he is a 14-minute-a-night player, you just can't hold him in a daily changes league. You can't do it. We'll see what happens, but we need to watch. And then in Memphis, I'm not sure whether Santi Aldama is someone you need to hold because they're playing Jacques Landale as the starting center. You got Jaren playing at the 4. You got Cedric Howard jumping in there as well. And Aldama just isn't it. So let's see how they use him. In terms of streams, Jaime Jaquez played 30 minutes last game. I don't know whether Triple H is going to do that every game, if we get a little bit more from some of the other guys we hoped to get more out of. But we got a lot of Jaquez. We didn't get any real Pele Larson. How does Spoelstra handle that? And then for the Grizzlies, if Jalen Wells hasn't been picked up, you can look at Cedric Howard, but also Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's not going to blow you away. But there should be enough there with these guys out for him to be useful enough to be considered streamable. So now we go across to Houston. Yeah, to Houston. where the Pistons travel to take on the Rockets. The Rockets are 6-point favourites here. Ime Udoka has already told us that Steven Adams will start again, so that's not looking great for Reed Shepherd. Jaden Ivey out. Marcus Sasser, questionable. Dorian Finney-Smith out. And I don't expect that the wild thing, Jayshawn Tate, is available and playing. So what are we watching for? Isaiah Stewart was great for the Pistons last game. I really don't think that he's going to eclipse Jalen Duren in minutes most nights. So, I don't think we need to be, overly excited, but we need to watch it. And then we do need to see Reed Shepherd. Does he play better against the Pistons versus when he did against the Thunder? I mistakenly said on my waiver wire show today that they were playing the Warriors. That was wrong. They're playing the Pistons. So let's see what he's able to do in this scenario. In terms of streams, Ron Holland is a guy that I am considering in anything deeper than a 150-player league. How does he get used here with Ivy out once again? And then Adams is worth a stream for the Rockets, who's not going to score very well. He's going to grab rebounds, and he should be a good field goal percentage guy, but he's not a huge shot blocker or anything like that. We also want to watch what happens to Steven Adams' minutes here, because he played a huge amount in that double overtime game, but is he a 20-minute guy or is he a 30-minute guy? That is going to be important for us to look at. The next game, we're getting in and looking at the Wizards and the Mavericks. Obviously not great from Dallas opening night, but they are 11-point favourites here. Bilal Coulibaly is out, Kyrie Irving is out, Dante Exum is out, and Daniel Gafford is questionable. Alex Sarr only played 25 minutes and he barely played in the first half. Is that what the Wizards are going to do? Is that a calf issue? His field goal percentage was better. I want to see the playing time. And then for the Mavericks, do they go back to Cooper Flagg at point guard? Flagg, is he going to be better and get actually some assists? Or is it a little bit too much for him at this stage? And we know it's going to be hard early on for him. It's just easy. It's easy to see it's going to be hard. It's usually what happens to rookies, especially when putting into a situation where he's not a point guard. He has never played point guard before. Jason Kidd's putting him into a weird environment and a weird situation with a flawed roster and no shooting. But we want to see what happens. In terms of streams, Cam Whitmore is probably there for Washington, like Middleton if he's available, and Keyshawn George, obviously, but they're not falling below my 40% threshold. And then in Dallas, we look at Najee Marshall, who is a 23, 24-minute a night guy coming off the bench, who's got value, but his upside, I wouldn't say, is particularly large. The next game, let's get across and look at Sacramento, who just injuries piling up here. George Niang is out for Utah. Isaiah Collier is out for Utah. But Sabonis is gone for Sacramento. Keegan Murray is out. And now the replacement for Keegan Murray, Nick Clifford, he has strained his hamstring. And he is out at least a week as well. Isaac Jones is questionable. Now, the reason I put Isaac there is he is a power forward, so maybe there are minutes for him. But now their forward depth is like literally nobody. Reyno, Šarić, they're really centers. Doug McDermott, he's like really an assistant coach. It's a bad roster, man. So what are they going to do here? The Kings are 6-point favorites. I'm not sure that's right, but we'll see where we go. I want to see Walker Kessler for Utah because is he going to be banging threes now? Getting steals, getting assists? Because that's never been his thing. We want to watch it because it changes so much about where we value him. And then in Sacramento, how much do they hate Keon Ellis? If it wasn't for injuries to Sabonis, Murray, and Clifford, I would say there's no shot that we're even considering Ellis. And I still don't think they're going to use him enough for it to matter. Remember, their lottery pick from last season, Devin Carter, got DMP'd last game. There's just too many guys around. But maybe they just have to go ultra small, which of course is not great when you're going up against Filipowski, Markkanen, Kessler, then they bring Hendricks and Nurkic off the bench. They could get rooted. So we watch that. I think Hendricks is a pretty good stream for Utah, assuming that guys like Bryce Sensabaugh and Filipowski are taken. And then Drew Eubanks. Only played 21 minutes last game. I think he's got more in him. He did block a lot of shots, and there's stream value in that, but their front court depth is getting tested, obviously a lot. Obviously. The next game, it is the 10th game of the day. The Minnesota Timberwolves and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Wizard of Naz Reid was bad last game. I didn't even mention him in the recap show when I should have. I thought that we might get at least 25 or 26 a night with some ultra big lineups, and that did not happen. If he's only getting 20 a night, that's Bobby Portis. You can't really hold that. We are still holding Naz, but it's not good. On the Lakers side, DeAndre Ayton was putrid on opening night. Will that change? Probably not. The Wolves, I should have mentioned this earlier, the Wolves are 2.5-point favourites. LeBron is out for the Lakers. Adu Thero is out. Maxi Kleber is out. Luka's probable, so it looks like he's fine, but Austin Reaves hurt his ankle at the end of that game on opening night. He's questionable. Now, if Reaves is out, as we detailed earlier in the show, well, there's some trouble. What are they going to do? It's going to have to be a bit more Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia. In terms of streams, Terrence Shannon, who played a lot last game, he played more than Dante DiVincenzo. He's an interesting stream guy. And then LaRavia probably is the Lakers guy that we consider streaming in. The next game, one of the late games of the day, the Warriors and the Blazers. Obviously, a lot happening in this one. The spread is currently set as a pick'em. The Warriors are coming in second game of a back-to-back. Melton will be out. Horford will be out. Steve Kerr did say that Moses Moody could play in this game on Friday, while for the Blazers, Scoot is out, and I expect Robert Williams won't play. And of course, Chauncey Billups is out. For the Blazers, Jeremy Grant. Do I believe he's going to shoot like that? Of course I don't. But what do the minutes look like? Because if it's 27, we don't really care. But if they bump him higher, then it becomes more interesting. For the Warriors, there is no Horford. So they're going to obviously go with more Kuminga and Draymond Green starting. And I wonder what they do here, because Kerr said that Moody would have started had he not been injured. So I guess he starts, and then how do they arrange that? Is it Pajemski that goes to the bench? What does it mean in a situation where Horford's not there and Post plays more? Maybe he's the streamer. Maybe it's Jackson Davis. Or maybe it's Golden State nonsense. And then in Portland, if you're going really deep, Blake Wesley is probably the stream guy there as the backup point guard, while Scoot Henderson is out. The last game, and then we'll come back and talk schedule and streams of the day. The last game of the night for Friday is Phoenix and the Clippers. The Clippers are 9.5-point favourites here. Jalen Green remains out. And I've got Mark Williams listed as questionable because it's the first of a back-to-back. And we know that he won't play the back-to-back. We just don't know which one. And then for the Clippers, Jordan Miller is out. Now, we do want to see Mark Williams. We want to know, is he going to stay on the bench behind Iguodaro? Is he going to stick at 24 minutes? How do they handle him? And similarly, what happens with John Collins? Because it was a very weird game against Utah. Revenge game, of course, for Collins. Is he a bench guy? Is he a 24-minute bench guy? Is he a 28-minute bench guy? That's all important data to get. In terms of streaming, with Jalen Green out, Dylan Brooks is just an idiot. He takes too many shots, but volume matters, especially for points leagues. While Chris Dunn played and Bogdan Bogdanovic was a DNP. So if Dunn's getting 20 minutes, there's at least some stream appeal in looking at him. We're going to come back and look at some of the schedule quirks as well as the streams of the day in a sec. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by the big fellas over at Rugiet. You know, you've heard excuses that they don't solve anything. Stress, being tired, just happens to everyone, just a fact of life, or maybe, but when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little bit of extra support, and that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. Go to Rugiet, rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That is rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA, and don't forget to use the code LockedOnNBA so that they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you won't want to miss. If you're a new customer, if you bet $5 and you win, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Of course, you can do that with live lines during games. You can do it on parlays, same game parlays, multiple game parlays, futures, straight up, spreads, all that stuff, of course, is there. And you can put your sport knowledge to the test on the FanDuel app. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today to get started. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. So we are, of course, here talking about a preview of Friday's 12 games that are on in the NBA. So let's take a look at some of the schedule-based little hacks or hints or ideas that we should be factoring into our analysis when talking about fantasy. Let's start by taking a look at, if it ever comes up on the screen, back-to-backs. That's what we're looking at, back-to-backs. Because there are 4 teams that go Friday to Saturday. The Hawks, the Grizzlies, so the Hawks and Porzingis, not on the injury report Porzingis, so maybe out on Saturday. The Grizzlies, who just now updated the injury report, and both Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Ja Morant are questionable. So is Ja going to miss back-to-backs now? Who the hell plays? Javon Small? I guess so. Stream him perhaps. The Magic, with Jalen Suggs, watch him on the second half of the back-to-back. And then the Suns, with Mark Williams, is going to be important to pay attention to on that back-to-back as well. Now, there's no real move you can make on Friday to get 2 games for the price of 1 because, in general, you're just not streaming anyone in on Friday with 12 games on. But that doesn't mean we don't have other things we can do, and that is in terms of getting chunky. And what do I mean by that? What do you do over the next 5 days? You can use one ad and get a little bit of value in there. Is there any team that plays 3 games on the low volume days, excluding Friday and Monday, where you can get extra value? And the answer is yes, you can. Because the Charlotte Hornets play 3 low volume days in the next 5 days. 3 volume games in the next 5 days. So, the big cock, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Moussa Diabate, both of those guys with the 3 games. These other 3 names on the list are only 2 games over those 5 days, but they're still really high value ads. Ryan Rollins, Chris Middleton, and Quentin Grimes. So let's take a look at the 5s and the 2s. What happens over the next 7 days? Because we love a 5-game week and we hate a 2-game week, but we only ever pay attention to it Monday to Sunday. But what about at any point during the week, which is what we're going to look at now? Is there any team with a chock full schedule? There is. The Magic, over the next 7 days, Friday through to Thursday, play 5 games. So, if you want to get bumps up into your value, maybe Goga, maybe it is Tyus Jones, maybe Mr. Black, maybe Tristan da Silva is worth taking a look at. Or if you consider dropping Wendell Carter Jr., maybe 5 games in 7 nights gives you a way to feel better about holding on, because that's what we're trying to do here. Let's lastly take a look at the streams of the day, the 12 games. Again, understanding that you're probably not going to be able to stream very much at all. But your 10-team stream of the day is Grayson Allen. He just should be on a roster for now. 12 teams, and you can do this in 10s as well, Ryan Rollins. 14 team, I think Royce O'Neal is worth looking at and he's available literally everywhere. And then deeper leagues, Sam Merrill. For points leagues, both Yahoo and ESPN, Davion Mitchell still sits way too low, 31% rostered. I thought for sure after that big game he would have jumped way up, which again makes me think that Yahoo leagues are incredibly dead and no one's active there, or maybe there's a situation where a lot of the leagues are doing fab processing after the time I looked at this. But 31% for a guy that popped off, I think that their numbers are so inflated by fake leagues they sign people up to and incredibly shallow formats that the numbers are harder to read. But Davion's still sitting there at 31%. So he's pretty interesting to go and take a look at. And that is our daily look ahead to Friday. Today, the show won't be as big as yesterday's, obviously, because there's only 2 games on, but we're still recapping it. So you check that out after the games are done. It'll be right here, YouTube, audio, it's all there. You hype up the video if you're on the YouTube app. If you're not, you still subscribe and you thumb and you bang and you listen to the audio and you watch the video. And guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.